Alright, I'm sorry, I'll finally do a 2020 movie review. Hey guys, it's Daniel here, finally with a 2020 movie review, and today I'm going to review the film Dolittle. I know I should have done it like last month or 2 months ago or something, but you're getting it now, so better late than never, right? So Dolittle is about a young lad who comes across the mysterious home of the whimsical and legendary Dr. John Dolittle, who lives with animals and treats them with care. And he must find a way to help Dr. Dolittle on his quest to go find a cure for Queen Victoria, who is slowly fading away. Now, this film does star Robert Downey Jr., and the only times I've seen Robert Downey Jr. in the film is when he's playing Iron Man in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So I haven't really seen a lot of films that starred Robert Downey Jr. that does not include the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So we don't really. So yeah, I didn't really watch a lot of films starring him. I just watched the Iron Man films because I know him best known for playing Tony Stark, aka Iron Man. But when I saw the trailer for Dolittle, I'm not gonna lie, it actually piqued my interest and had me pretty curious to see the film. I mean, it had great cinematography, and it seemed like that Dolittle could be a fun lead character. So I was very interested to go see Dolittle. And then the early reviews of the film came out, and that excitement that I had of the film made me take a back seat, because a lot of people were giving this film so much hate. So I was kind of curious, like, what if this film turns out to be bad? I kind of doubted myself whether or not I wanted to see the film or whether or not the film was going to be good. But I just hold myself back from those reviews. I went in this film with my own opinion. And again, I got a chance to see it with some of the school. Remember how in my Paddington 2 review I said that I got a chance to go to the school because I was good enough to see Paddington 2? Well, I did the same again for Dolittle. And so, a few days ago, I got to see Dolittle at the cinema, and I have to say, I kinda like this film. Yeah, I know this film has some problems, and I can see why this film gets so much hate. But I can't deny that the film has a bit of heart as well. I kinda liked it. Now, there are a lot of problems with this film that I'll get to later, and I do understand why this film isn't that great, but in my opinion, there are some good things about the film. In my opinion, the best aspect of the film, and it's kind of surprising because I saw some reviews for it, and a lot of people hated this aspect because they felt like that his accent wasn't that great. But for me, I like the accent, and I love the character that he was playing, and that's Robert Downey Jr. himself. Even though this film is just a pretty good film, but not one of the greatest, he actually gives a pretty excellent performance. I mean, I know a lot of people like to make fun of the voice, and yes, sometimes the voice is a bit exaggerating, but I like the voice. And it kind of makes sense that he had to make that voice, because in some parts of the film, I actually forgot that he was Tony Stark. So that's how convincing the character is. You can tell that Robert Downey Jr. did enjoy playing this character, like adding a bit of weight to him, adding a bit of humour to his character, and also adding a bit of his character that has some sympathy for the animals around him. Like, Robert Downey Jr. was given the script, and he was like, I have just came off of Avengers Endgame, and I am fantastic as an actor, and now you want me to do a movie where I talk to animals and I have a stupid accent? Okay. You know what? I'll just do it. I'll just do it so I can have a lot of fun with the role. And in my opinion, I know a lot of people might not feel this, but in my opinion, I feel like that Robert Downey Jr. out of all the characters was having a lot of fun with his role. Except for one other person in the film, because there's actually another good actor in the film that I love, and that's Antonio Banderas as Dr. Dolittle's wife's father, I think, or guardian? I don't know. But his character, oh my god, I wish he was in the movie more, because He's so much fun. I mean, I could just hear all the voices that Antonio Banderas was voicing. I mean, his character is just as good as he was when he was in the SpongeBob film as Burger Beard, or his portrayal as Puss in Boots. I personally wish that he was the main villain that Dolittle had to face, because the other two villains, I'll get to them later, but they were kind of like little bigger threats that didn't need to be in the film. But Antonio Banderas' character is actually more fun there than those villains. So I wish he was in the movie more. I mean, why can't we just have Dolittle go on an adventure with this guy? There's also, I think there's a cameo in this movie that really surprised me, because I heard his voice, but I couldn't find him online to see if he was in the film. But I think that's the person I was thinking of, because there's a scene where Dolittle gets captured and placed in prison, and he meets this one rabbit, and the minute I heard the rabbit's voice, I was like, oh my god, I think that's him. I won't say who I'm referring to, but if you've watched Arrested Development and you hear this rabbit's voice, I think you'll know exactly who it is. There are some visual effects in the film that did look pretty interesting. I mean, yes, they do look over the top and a bit cartoony at some points, but they were decent for what they were. Some of the animals were fantastic, especially with Polly the parrot, voiced by Emma Thompson. I thought her voice acting was good, and her visual effects were great. The cinematography in the film is also very still. I mean, when they take a wide shot at Dolittle's ship as he rides through the ocean, I thought that was fantastic. And there's actually a scene where they come across a whale. That whale also looked like it's probably the best visual effects in the entire film. The last good thing about the film is that I do have to admit that there are some jokes in the film that did kind of make me laugh. I mean, some of the words that Dolittle says, and just a bit of slapstick now and again. Not all the jokes work, but I thought some jokes in the film did kind of make me chuckle. But I can see why people think that this movie isn't that good. The biggest problem with this film, in my opinion, is actually its pacing. I thought it was way too fast and rushed. I mean, this is supposed to be a simple 1 hour and 40-minute movie, but it almost felt like an hour or something, like an hour and 10 minutes maybe. It felt like that. And I know they're trying to tell an entire story in less than 100 minutes, but the thing is, the film is supposed to make us feel sorry for Dolittle because of a tragic backstory that happened in the beginning of the film. But if the pacing was a bit more slower and gave us more time to invest us in it, I could have felt sorry for him, because I do love Robert Downey Jr.'s performance. But because the pacing was so quick, I didn't really feel that sorry for him in the backstory. And they set off on their adventure in a span of 15 to 20 minutes into the film. I mean, I didn't expect them to go on that adventure that quick and all. And there's just some parts in the film where I felt like they could have been expanded more. Like, if you expanded more on the story and maybe given us some much more longer action scenes and the backstory, you could get this film close to 2 hours. While I did say earlier that I did enjoy some of the visual effects, when you really go into the film expecting really fantastic visual effects, you might be disappointed, because, like I said before, the visual effects in the film dealing with the animals get really over the top. I mean, like, there are some slapstick, and when they're getting hurt, I can tell that that's kind of fake, because some of the CG in the film was a little CG-ish. And that did make the animals kind of annoying. I mean, like, there's this one gorilla in the film who's trying to learn to fight, and I will admit that I thought they could have gotten, like, a big tougher guy to voice him, but his voice sounds really exaggerating and really annoying. Although I did like that one dog in the film that assists Dolittle, who's voiced by Tom Holland. I didn't expect that. I thought he was really great in the role. Another problem I had deals with some of the characters. I mean, while I do love Robert Downey Jr. and Antonio Banderas in the film, they are the best performances in the entire film, the rest, I felt like, were decently handled, but they just didn't have much to do. I mean, like, we have this romance in the film between the main boy and this one girl who tells Dolittle that Queen Victoria is dying. Their potential kiss at the end felt so unnecessary, because they barely share any scenes together. Like, they share about 2 to 3 in the film, and their eventual kiss at the end, I felt like it was really unnecessary because they don't have a lot of time. This is the biggest problem with the pacing, because if they gave us more time to develop their romantic relationship, I would have been fine with it. In fact, in order for this romance to work, the girl should have been a part of the journey. I thought she would have been a part of the journey in the trailers, but she just stays behind and let the boy go on with Dolittle instead. I thought all three of them were going to go on this adventure together, but she's kind of sidelined. Now, I don't hate their characters. I mean, I like the boy. He's really fun, and I do like how he develops as a character, and he manages to interact with the animals. But in fact, even though I do like these characters, I felt like they didn't need to be in the film, really. I mean, it could have been just a simple story about Little going on this adventure to go help Queen Victoria and letting more people into his life because of his backstory. But they ended up putting these characters in. It kind of, like, took away potential that these characters had. And I'm sorry, but I felt like it was really unnecessary to bring these main villains into the film, because they didn't add anything to the film. I mean, there's no need for these villains to be in the film if the adventure that Dolittle goes on, and this tiger, and that villain played by Antonio Banderas, there's no need to put these villains in if those other villains are already a big enough threat. I mean, what do we need these people for? Now, I will admit that their performances aren't that bad. I mean, Martin Sheen did have a few funny moments now and again, but again, he was completely pointless to the story, and he just goes out like a punk. I mean, there's a scene where they come across a dragon who has a sore stomach, and he just lands in the snake, and then the cave starts to collapse, and then Martin Sheen's character just falls down the collapse, and that's it. You never see him again, we never hear from him again. I felt like he wasn't very that interesting in the story, and what disappointed me the most is that the other unnecessary villain is played by Jim Broadbent. Because I love Jim Broadbent. He's a fantastic actor. And I will admit that his performance isn't bad. It was decently handled. But his character didn't need to be in the film. Jim, don't worry. It's not your fault. I do like you as an actor. And I thought you did a decent performance there. But I just wish they could have picked a better actor than Jim Broadbent, because Jim Broadbent is a fantastic actor. If they picked a different actor that was less better than him, then maybe this character could have worked. And the fact that he just gets a climax at the end just felt unnecessary. Not to mention that these villains are also kind of a rip-off of those two villains from Dumb and Dumber 2. I mean, just think about it. They're trying to kill the owner of a big corporation or a big mansion or a big, like, rich city, and so they can get that place for themselves. Doesn't that sound familiar to the villains in Dumb and Dumber 2? Also, the story I felt like was very predictable. I mean, it's a typical story about a famous guy who was famous in the past, but because of the tragic backstory, they kind of been out of the game for a while until a certain character tells them to go on this mission that helped them bring back up again. Doesn't that sound kind of familiar? I mean, we've seen that story before, so we don't really need to repeat here, and it did kind of make the film pretty predictable, because this film is a pretty good film. It's just that if it didn't have a predictable story, it would have been much better, and a lot of people wouldn't give this movie so much hate. And the film's climax? Really? Man, you had so much potential to make a much better climax, either on a ship between these two warships, or just on the ocean and all that, but you do it all climax in one room? Talk about a really boring climax, that tense or tension whatsoever. This climax in the film comes close to giving the climax from Food Fight a run for its money. However, even though I did have a lot of problems with the film, I will admit that the movie is okay. It's pretty good, but it's not that great of a film, and I will admit there are some problems that detract from it from being an awesome film, and people wouldn't give it so much hate, but I liked it for what it is, and I will give this film a 3.5 stars out of 5. It's pretty good and enjoyable, and I don't recommend this movie, but if you're going to go with a family and make fun of some of the stuff that you hate, then have a blast. But anyway, what did you think of Dolittle? Did you really like it? Did you get a kick out of it? Did you love Robert Downey Jr.'s performance? Or were you bored by it and you agree with all the characters? And I want to ask you this question. What is your favourite Robert Downey Jr. film? Let me know in the comment section below. And I will try to get some more reviews done. I really want to. But anyway, I'm Daniel reviewing movies, TV shows, and doing videos. and I like to talk to animals using this terrible accent. Till then, peace out, man, and don't forget to subscribe.